Just got one, I'll just bring you guys up to speed a little bit on kind of what it is he is talking about is, so when this initiated a couple years ago and there was kind of the debate between the two fireworks entities, so at that time, the city of Ely never had nothing in place for as far as getting a permit or anything else. So since then, I've drafted and I've came up with a permit that they gotta apply for. There's no fee for it, but it's a permit that goes in. They gotta show their license, they gotta show their insurance, the location they're gonna do it, the time they're gonna do it, an inventory of their product, a map of the area in which they're doing it. And this is across anybody who comes in to do a pyrotechnic show. One of the signature lines on there is approval of the property owner in order to turn this permit in. So that is the portion of that applicant that he's looking for. I don't know that you guys have a permit that you issue for pyrotechnic display in the county. And the reason, and that's kind of the reason I implemented one to the city is because I seen this problem coming with the two entities kind of clashing. So this keeps everybody on the same playing field. Everybody's gonna have insurance, everybody's gonna have, their map of the show. It's gonna be all compliant, everything's gonna be in place before they do the show. So just kind of give you an update on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
So, McKenzie, because the county leases that from the city, that property there, would it require county approval or just city approval? Because the county leases the golf course.
Right, my suggestion would be, I mean, I think there's no harm in us approving it, but obviously he would need to do the same thing with the city, or whoever, whichever entity, is going forward with the fireworks.
I think my question was, do you require both or can one side? It's in, the city owns it, the county leases it.
My suggestion would be to have both,
Okay.
but, I'm not giving any fireworks provider legal advice.
Yeah, I mean, where we are the lessee of the property, if I was renting a house and then the owner decided they were gonna allow somebody to come do something in my yard, they would have to have my permission still because I have a lease agreement. So I would say that we would be
And
required to do that.
I agree, but that is something that's incumbent upon the person providing the fireworks. That's not something, this has been agendized as approval from you, the commission. What Mr. Couch or the Great Basin Service Club does with the city, that's incumbent upon them.
Thank you.
I'll just take that item now.
I think we have to go into the county commission meeting, don't we? So, right now, is there any other public comment on the fire commission? Hearing none, we'll close the fire commission meeting, reopen the regular scheduled White Pine County Commission meeting, and you suggest that we go right ahead into this one here?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back in to Mr. Couch's item, as a county commission meeting. So we're gonna go, and it's the same thing we just had, it's approval to sign the fireworks display application permit to the City of Ely Fire Department as proposed by Mr. Couch. Is that okay?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
I'll
Motion-
second.
Motion by Travis, second by Roy. Any further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. Thank you. Thank you.
You want his signature, right?
Sure.
Let me,
Let's get it, yeah.
Just take the crap into it.
Don't leave, they agree.
there you go. Welcome.
Okay, we are now on page 3, and item D, which is the 9:15 liquor board meeting. I'll turn that over to Scott Henry.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. 9:15 a.m. liquor board meeting. Item number 1 is discussion for possible action. Approval of a liquor license to Amanda Panagopoulos on behalf of the White Pine Copper Days Rodeo Committee for the period beginning on October 15, 2021 and ending on October 18, 2021 to be conducted at the White Pine County Fairgrounds. Mrs. Panagopoulos has filled out the proper application and paid the fee, so I just look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 2, discussion for possible action, approval of minutes from the liquor board meeting held August 11th, 2021, and August 25th, 2021. Motion to approve those minutes.
Move to
Motion
approve.
to, second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay. That was good. Okay, we'll go back to page 3, item C. We're just doing fine. It's the 9:30 public hearing and first readings for proposed ordinances. Item 1 is a public hearing, discussion for possible action. The White Pine County Board of Commissioners will take public comment and consider approval of proposed ordinance 523, number 08.25.2021A, a proposed amendment to ordinance 498 and 487, amending Title 10, Chapter 10.2, Sections 10.62.010 and 10.62.040A of the White Pine County Code and Titles 17, Chapter 17.65, Section 17.65.050 of the White Pine County Code, changing the zoning requirement of a marijuana establishment from the only operating in districts designated industrial park to the White Pine County pursuant to NRS sections 244.137 and 244.116 and 678B.500. James Beecher, but Mackenzie's here to speak to this.
Yes, and this ordinance has, Ross and James have been working on this, and essentially what this ordinance does is takes in the zoning section, the requirement that a marijuana establishment, which includes cultivation as well as multiple other things, takes out the portion that requires that it only be in the industrial park area. You'll notice that in section 17.65.050, that it again mentions industrial park. All this portion is saying that is if someone does choose to put a marijuana establishment in the industrial park, that they would also have to undergo the special use permit. So either way, whichever business, company, organization is applying has to undergo the special use permit. And so that's the change that this is making to the current ordinance.
Anyone got a question of Liz or Mackenzie on that? The special use permit is an additional requirement that when they go to put it in wherever it's at, whoever it is, they come before the board and get a special use permit to operate and to develop on that particular parcel.
Correct.
Okay. Is there any public comment is in play, please. George?
Mr. Chairman, when you say that particular parcel, does that mean a particular parcel within the industrial park and not elsewhere within the county?
So it means, the reason that there's a separate section for industrial park is because that's a separate chapter. So if someone, let's say, wanted to put some kind of marijuana cultivation facility somewhere in White Pine County, not within the city, but not in the industrial park, then they would be required to obtain a special use permit from the commission, go through the whole process. Likewise, if they chose to do this in the industrial park.
Okay,
So it
that
covers both areas.
All right, my concern was, there was a concern in regards to enforcement in the selling of the product. So if I want to go out to Cherry Creek, I don't want you guys to come and say, George, you've got to come back to the Ely area into the industrial park to sell the product, whether it's me or anybody else. And that's a clarification I wanted. If it's just to grow, that's a different story. I can understand the concern for just the industrial park, and I wanted that clarification.
And if we get to the point where, you know, we've got some different things, we can address that then.
But this is growing only, not selling of the product.
It includes, so marijuana establishment, it includes like a number of different things. And that's just something that we'll address case-by-case basis, depending on what the person presents.
There was someone on the phone who wanted to speak to this. Are you still on the phone? Lauren, I think was your name?
I am, but this is Laura from Pace Coalition, but you're answering my questions right now.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else on the phone or in the audience that would like to speak to this proposed ordinance? This is public comment. State your name.
Hello, I'm Will Adler with Silverline Farms. We'd again like to thank you for taking on this ordinance and looking into these issues. And speaking to the special use permit process, that's very similar to those seen in other counties, other restricted areas. And when it comes to zoning and those restrictions, if the applicant doesn't apply correctly or you don't see the applicant as fitting the area, as I see it, most special use permit processes can deny almost anyone who comes in if it's insufficient. So I think it's a weighted and a well-balanced sort of structure White Pine County is taking on here, because it is permissible and it can be taken away at the same time because it is a special use permit. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And I'll call again for any other public comment on this issue, either on the phone or in the audience. And hearing none and seeing none, we'll move forward and I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis.
But I think it's just, yeah, isn't it just a public hearing?
No, it's
Well, it's
Is
possible.
it
It's
possible
action.
action too? Okay, just double checking there.
So there was
Second.
motion by Travis and second by Shane. Any further comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimous. Okay, we'll move on. I just got confused for a second. We're on, item 1 is taken care of, we're on item 2. Item 2 is an additional public hearing. This is a discussion for possible action. The White Pine County Board of Commissioners will take public comment and consider approval of proposed ordinance 524, bill number 08.25.2021B. It's an amendment to ordinance 476, amending Title 4, Chapter 4.02, Section 4.02.020, and 4.02.030 by adding establishment to the restrictions and applicability regulations regarding gaming. Mackenzie, you want to speak to this?
Yes, so this is another ordinance that James and Ross have been working on. It's been approved by James. And essentially, this is just to broaden our current ordinance to make sure that we're including and covering all the different types of gaming businesses that are in White Pine County, regardless of what the legal ownership is. So it's essentially just broadening it to include the word establishment.
Mr. Chairman, I just would like to make a disclosure that I own a stake in the Copper Queen Casino, and I'm a gaming licensee, so I will be staying out of all this conversation.
Yeah, and I think just a bit of clarification on this is this, that this kind of helps the process if a company or business is trying to sell. It kind of softens the application. He can have a buyer and still go through the process, but we kind of cut some of the red tape out with this right here. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. Then, is there any other comment in the public, on the phone, on this gaming thing? We're just trying to soften the establishment part of it, the rules. Come on, George.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By including the word establishment, that does not take away the requirement for the 30 rooms, is that correct?
That is
I want to be
correct.
clear on that. Thank you.
Any other comment, either on the phone or in the public, in the building, or any commissioners got any comment? Hearing none and seeing none, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Travis. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Aye.
Passed unanimous. Move on, page 3.
One abstention on that.
Yeah, one abstain, Shane abstains. Item 3 is the first reading, and this is discussion only regarding proposed ordinance 525, bill number 10.13.2021, an amendment to ordinance 448 and 203, section 9, thereby amending Title 17, Chapter 17.24, Section 17.24.020 of the White Pine County Code by adding the following to the special permitted uses of open range district land in the 05 zone classification pursuant to NRS 244.137, 244.116, and 278.250. This is the big cat sanctuaries involving any of the large members of the cat family, including lion, tiger, leopard, jaguar, snow leopard, clouded leopard, cheetah, cougar, or the like, S, I guess, and this is also
That's for special.
special. Mackenzie, you want to address this?
Yes, so this is essentially clarifying the ordinance and requiring that in the future, if any big cat sanctuary applies, they must go through the special approval process. It does not, of course, require you to allow for a big cat sanctuary. It's just giving protection for the future, that if someone comes forward and is asking you to approve this, that it goes through the special use permitting process.
Any questions by anyone? This is the first reading, it's discussion only. Is the public allowed to discuss in this?
That's totally up to you as the chairman.
Okay, we'll allow any public comment on the phone or in the audience on this special use permit. Hearing none and seeing none.
Wait a minute,
Georgie?
has anybody shown any interest in putting in a sanctuary?
We had some people at the last meeting speak, but they are not here right now. This is the first reading, there will be a second reading, and this is discussion only. There'll be a second hearing in the next meeting, and if they are still actively seeking the thing, they'll have to come to the meeting and address us and address the public as well. So we, right now, this is the first, so we're just offering the public comment to say yes or no or whatever, and I hear none on the phone evidently, and I see none in the audience. Is there anyone in the audience? And with that being said, this was the first reading, so we'll be back at the next meeting for the second reading and the action. So that being said, we'll close up, oh, wait, we have one more, item D, page 4, excuse me. This is a 945, it's a natural resources, on page 4, item D1. This is discussion for possible action, the approval to sign onto a letter from the Coalition of Healthy Nevada Lands, Wildlife, and Free Roaming Horses and Burros to Deborah Holland, Secretary of the Interior, expressing concern and the need for action to address the overpopulation of wild horses and burros in Nevada. Jeremy, you on?
I am, Chairman. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. For your record, Jeremy Drew, Principal Resource Specialist with Resource Concepts. This is an item that came up at the last PUAC meeting. I believe it's consistent with the previous comment letters that we've made to BLM. If you'll recall, they've had several gather preliminary environmental assessments that we have supported. In fact, the entire Ely district of BLM is now under NEPA cleared planning so that they can implement wild horse gathers and fertility control. The biggest issue they have now is actually implementing the gathers, and that's primarily due to a lack of funding through Congress. And so what this letter does from the coalition, and this is a group that's been around 3 or 4 years, I've been able to be involved with them on a personal basis. I support the letter. I actually signed on from a personal standpoint, and they asked if White Pine County as well as other counties would sign on, and I believe Eureka and NACO at a minimum have. Really the crux of what they're asking for here is raising the awareness to Secretary Holland as to just how critical the issue on the ground is. You're all out there and seeing, the problems we have with drought, and that's only being compounded by the overpopulation of horses. And so what they're really pushing is an aggressive gather schedule over the next 6 years to get to appropriate management level. And then once that's achieved, to really start looking at fertility control and adoption so that the program's in a more sustainable place. Again, I think this is pretty consistent with where the county has been in the past. I think it's consistent with the public land policy plan, and PUAC recommended that the county commission sign this. So that's all I had for background at this point, but as always, I'm happy to take any questions.
And Jeremy, per our discussion that we had, there was some confusion. Evidently, they had put PLUAC on there as a signee, and technically, PLUAC is an advisory board and doesn't have the power to do that. That's why the recommendation was to bring it forward for the county to go ahead and sign in, with support.
Yeah, that's correct, Commissioner Carson, and I should add, I had an offline discussion with Ms. Baldwin yesterday. It's kind of an interesting approach that they've taken to the sign-on letter. They're not taking like physical written signatures. So if the commission were to elect to move forward with this, what I offered to Ms. Baldwin was to notify the coalition and make sure that they took, PLUAC off and have the county as the signatory as it should be.
Right, thank you. Okay,
Am I the only one thinking that a big cat sanctuary strategically placed could handle this issue for us? Oh, I'm sorry.
Since Richard's out, I guess I'll call for the
Yes,
motion.
please. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none.
Okay,
Pass unanimous with Richard absent.
thank you, Jeremy. I think that's it then.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Let's jump to the consent agenda, take care of that real quick. Look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Have a
Second.
second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, pass unanimous. I'll hand it back over to Richard. Richard, we're on page 4. We have some time before the 10 o'clock, so wherever you want to take it.
We'll just go right down the list here. We'll go to page 4, item 2, discuss items from elected officials and department heads. Item A is the county commission. Number 1 is myself, Richard Howe, chairman. Discussion for possible action, the approval to send a letter card to Assemblyman John Ellison in regards to the recent passing of his wife. I sent a text to him and his family from all the citizens of White Pine County and the commission. But I think a card might be appropriate as well. He responded to that and thanked the citizens of White Pine County and this commission. His wife passed away at 62 years old. They flew her to Salt Lake and she got on the table and died of a heart attack.
Yep.
So,
Last Wednesday.
yeah, and his funeral was last Friday, so this is just kind of asking the commission for us to go ahead and have Nicole send a letter to Assemblyman Ellison. So with that being said, I'll look for a motion to approve the letter.
To approve?
Motion by Travis,
Second.
second by Lori. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, passed unanimous. Item B is elected officials. Catherine Backer, treasurer, discussion only. The update regarding the treasurer's monthly reports from June and July of 2021. Elizabeth, you want to take this?
Is she on the phone?
Are you on the phone, Catherine?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm here. That is just my monthly report that I turn in, so I'm here if you have any questions.
Anybody got a question of Catherine? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion. Oh, this is discussion only.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess there's no discussion of Catherine, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Item 2 is Nicole Baldwin, County Court. Item A is discussion for possible action, the approval to consider the qualifications and appoint any qualified applicant to fill the vacant position on the Regional Planning Commission for an at-large resident in White Pine County.
Yes, Chairman, Brad Simpson resigned about a month or so ago. I've advertised this vacancy in the newspaper and on our county website. I had one individual obtain an application, but they failed to return it at all. So I recall Brian Pyle in the past stating that due to the nature of this board, if anybody in the audience showed up who was qualified to apply for that vacant position, that the commissioners could entertain that as a proper application and approve it at the meeting. So that's what we're doing here.
Anyone on the phone interested in the RPC? Would like to apply? Anyone in the audience interested in the RPC would like to apply? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll just, I guess, The board can continue to operate as a quorum, as long as they have quorum, and we'll continue to seek someone to take that position. It's an at-large position, anybody in the county can apply. Okay. We'll go on, Nicole, item B, discussion for possible action, approval of the request for the appointments from Rope Ashworth to the vacant seat on the Act 13 Fair and Rodeo Board.
Yes, there's one vacant seat on Act 13, and this individual, Rob Ashworth, applied to take that seat, and he's asking for your approval.
Any questions? I'll look for a motion to approve
Move to
the
approve.
appointment of Rope Ashworth. Motion by Shane and the second by Lori. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. We'll move on to page 5, item C, still under the clerk. Discussion for possible action, the approval to direct IT or BCT to cancel the automatic transfer of phone calls made to the emergency management and fire district to the clerk's office for any other changes, so that the clerk's office no longer has to field the OEM and fire district calls.
Yes, so some time ago, when we were in between fire chiefs, this was made, and it was never fixed. We get fire district calls all week, many times of the day, and we really just give out Brett's cell phone number. I know there's gotta be a better way for this to be handled.
I've opened a ticket based on this agenda item so that it can be addressed. My understanding is that it was at one time part of the extension assigned at the OEC and was taken off, but obviously that has not been properly remediated, so I've opened a ticket and hopefully we should have that resolved within the next several days.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, action, so I'll look for a motion to approve to direct IT, what Elizabeth said, IT or BCT to address this issue.
It's already done.
It's already done.
Yeah, so it's just gonna be
Do we need,
discussion.
No, it's up to you if you want to make the action, go for it, but it could also be.
Discussion.
We'll walk on by.
Done, yeah.
okay, we still got a few minutes, we got 4 minutes, so, Bill, I guess we can take you right now. And this again is on page 5, department heads. Item 1 is Bill Calderwood, Public Works Director. Item A is discussion for possible action, the approval to negotiate a contract for architectural services for the Community Services Building with the top-ranked architect, Lombard Conrad Architects Limited, LCA, based on the Statement of Qualifications process, and to negotiate with the number 2 ranked architect, if applicable. Terms cannot be reached with LCA.
Good morning. The committee that is went through the process of selecting and going through the interview process was myself, Elizabeth, James, and then a representative from the back of the building, the social services, the 3 offices that were going to be involved. Desi was the representative that helped us through this process. And this is just to ask if we can go forward with an architect and start that negotiation process.
Any questions by anyone on the board? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Lori,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. Elizabeth will take a few minutes, so we did consent, you did consent agenda, right?
Correct.
Let's go to page 6, notice of untimed items. Item 4A is approval of the proclamation to proclaim the week of October 23rd to the 31st, 2021 as Red Ribbon Week. Mary Kerner. Mary, are you on the phone?
Yes, sir, I am.
You got anything to add to this, or you'd like to speak?
Actually, it's just the same thing that we do every year, sponsored by the Ely Elks Lodge. We delivered packets to all the schools in White Pine County this morning, and so we spent over $1,600 on handouts with all of the drug-related, be drug-free images and things like that. Morning announcements, pledges, all that kind of stuff that we normally do, and red ribbons, of course. And if you guys would like some, I can drop some off to you as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by anybody on the board? We do this every year. So that being said, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis,
Second.
second by Shane. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed unanimous. We'll move on to the last item, is item B, Under untimed items on page 5, it's discussion for possible action, the approval of the minutes from the county commission meetings held on August 25th, 2021, the special joint meeting with the Board of Public Health, September 15th, 2021, and also the September 22nd, 2021 minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or subtractions?